Chapter 15 The City Eternal. Lined by herbs, berry bushes, and other useful plants that were overgrown, the main boulevard of the City Eternal continued until it ended at a huge glass tower about 100 feet tall. I wasn't quite expecting this, I said. These are all useful, edible plants. Rebecca looked them over. There has to be a reason, she said. Of course there is. This was a forest garden. These are even automatic waterers, integrated insect colonies, and more, just like Zebra Nation, I said. So they did find a way to coexist, she said. Until the war, anyway. So you think this was a real city like your AI told us? I asked. I'm not sure, she said. I looked over at her. Why would they give all this up? Over some disagreement? Couldn't they work it out? I said. Rebecca looked at me and snickered. Living with people isn't easy, she said. We are both proof of that. Me and Rebecca walked into the tower, unsure what we would find. Rebecca studied the walls. It looks like it was threaded with AI like the buildings in Alpha City, but it's much more primitive. Still, it seems like the technological people and the Earth people did coexist, she said. And it has food everywhere, I said, grabbing a vine apple and handing her one. We walked through the atrium of the glass tower. There were gardens inside and what looked like offices and reading rooms all overgrown and overrun with mice and birds. There were rooms full of chairs that could have been classrooms, rooms with beds, and rooms with what seemed to be medical and technological equipment neither of us recognized. We came up to the top of a huge hill and sat down and ate some of the fruit we had picked. The stories always said we built this city as a model to bring people together and to give us hope in a world that was falling apart and spiraling out of control due to constant unrest and global warming, I said. But maybe they just needed some good food together. It's not so easy, Cloudy Sky, Rebecca said. Maybe it's just the nature of things to fall apart, and maybe it wasn't as peaceful as it seemed. Maybe it just appeared utopian to those looking in from the future. Like you. I want to believe it was peaceful, I said. And you can't even get along with me, Rebecca said. I'm sorry. What do you want to do? Go back then? I said. I want you to make me trust you, she said. I don't know how to do that. I'm sorry. I lost my focus, I said. You had a vision, and visions can deceive, she said. I nodded. Well, she said. Let's go then. She took another bite of the vine apple and threw the core over her shoulder. But let's look at that temple before we leave, she said. I nodded. Then we walked down the hill. We crept into the old building, careful not to step on any snakes or mice. It was pitch black and without windows at all. There was debris and leaves, but not much else in the temple. I assume any artifacts would have likely been carried away and melted down or simply decayed into nothingness. We walked up to the front of the building, which seemed to be an altar of some sorts, and a voice came from behind us. What are you doing here? The voice asked. We looked back, and it seemed to be an old woman in robes and wearing a grass cap. Just looking, I said. Oh, they said. We haven't had visitors here for years. Visitors? Rebecca asked. There are more of you? More of me? They asked. You seem to be under the impression that I am... They walked into the light, and we could see their decayed face and arms made of titanium. Oh, so you're an AI, I said. Yes. You are quite a slow one. I am the only AI left here, you know, they said. You're a lot different than any AI we know, Rebecca said. Well, the people in the past liked to make the AI have more personality, more flair. Then they decided it was annoying and it became too hard to tell humans apart from robots. In any case, it has been over 100 years since anyone has lived here, let alone trip my awareness circuits by visiting, the AI said. So what happened here? Why is it all broken down? All we have to go on are some half-remembered myths, Rebecca asked. And what did those myths say? The AI asked. There was a war, Rebecca said. The AI laughed. A war? They asked, roaring. What is so funny? I asked. I am, the AI said, laughing. Of course, my brothers and sisters would say it was a war. It would make sense and fit in with the narrative. Rebecca and I looked at each other. So there was no war? Then what happened? Rebecca asked. I guess I overestimated the people, the AI said. So the people did not start a war? Rebecca asked. It was much more complicated than that. There were disagreements, skirmishes, but it was complicated. I sometimes wonder if I hadn't intervened if things would have worked themselves out, the AI said. If you hadn't intervened? Rebecca asked. Well, first, I was the one that split the people up into different neighborhoods. I was worried due to the sequence of events in the past that these skirmishes would lead to war. I let people who wanted to live with nature on the east side, and I let those who wanted to study and live in a technotopia live in the technotopia on the west side, they said. So it was no one's fault, no side to blame, I asked. Depends who you ask. Anyway, for a time there was peace and I was certain I had done the right thing. I followed all the calculations, all the formulas, but people didn't do what I expected them to. Human behavior was and is too random to truly be controlled by algorithms and calculations, they said. But then things escalated, I asked. It only makes sense, Rebecca said. Not to me, the AI said, but yes, tensions grew and grew. Skirmishes and disagreements led to battle and it just grew worse from there. The only solution at that point was to split the people completely, let them live in their own nations. The ones with technology who wanted to be alone, the ones with nature who wanted to be in community, and then the others who didn't fit in anywhere else could figure out the rest of the land. Aloha Nation, Ope Nation, and a few others grew out of that, the AI said. I wish it could have worked out, I said. As do I, said the AI, but all of the algorithms in the world could not fix it. The only solution was segregation and control. I sighed and looked at Rebecca. So, you ready to go back? I asked. Yes, though maybe we can do something different when we do, she said. My mother would have been disappointed, I said. No, Rebecca said. She had hope despite seeing darkness, and that's what we have to do too. We just have to keep going knowing there's no magic answer. We turned to leave the AI, and the AI made a clearing their throat sound. What is it? We both asked. Wherever you are going, go there fast. I'm sorry, but when you awoke me, the authorities were alerted, the AI said. Why? Rebecca asked. You have to understand it is all part of a safeguard, and I had no choice. Segregate and control, segregate and control. My fellow AI decided years ago that if anyone found the truth of this city and learned the full history and told others its secrets, it could very well destabilize the tenuous peace there is in the world, the AI said. So you want us to live in tribes, cut off from each other for all eternity? I asked. I'm sorry, the AI said. It was decided long ago. We backed out of the temple. I'm sorry, the AI said. I only do what my programming allows me to do. The Queen will be coming for you very soon. The Queen? I wondered aloud. My mind flashed back to that exhibit in the library about someone from Alpha Nation being assigned to lead Zebra Nation. I opened my mouth and looked at Rebecca. Let's talk later, Rebecca said, and rushed me out of the temple. There, Rebecca said. It looks like a storehouse. Why are we going there? I asked. Talk later, Rebecca said and pointed to some silvery hoverboards. Is this the same material that our robes are covered in? I asked. Only one way to find out, she said, and we both hopped on. Go, she said, and in a flash, we were gone.